The bizarre world of safe spaces. What started off as feminist shaming language to discourage any challenges to their faulty feminist theory has gradually worsened into a more lethal totalitarian response. Let's have a look. How do you defend the lies of feminism? You don't. You can't. Solution? Shame anyone that questions it. Call them misogynists and haters. Claim that these criticisms are personally hurtful and anti-woman, that they're hateful, immoral, and inexcusable, and with the silent help of gynocentrism, that'll shut them up. The motive here is to simply stifle any dissent and counterpoint and protect an obviously fragile and flawed theory. That strategy worked for some time and still does, but feminists have made some refinements. How to more subtly stifle any dissent or counterpoint? Enter safe spaces. You know, puppies, Play-Doh, cookies, pillows, coloring books, bubbles, and the like. It's as if it's a white room. These spaces are swept clean of any counterpoint, any challenging ideas, or any possible dissent. In fact, anything at all that might make someone uncomfortable. All positive, all the time. All the while smiling and stopping free speech. What appears on the surface to be a sweet attempt at calming space is actually a refined version of shut the fuck up. I think I know where they got this idea. Mad TV. Have a look.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank English language. I can't understand. La 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 la. La la la. Kathy?
20 years ago, Mad TV hosted the Vancom lady. When she'd reach a point where she could no longer bear hearing feedback, she'd simply plug her ears and say, la 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 la. This was hilarious. It could easily be seen to be a very primitive defense, so primitive that small children would likely laugh at how ridiculous it appeared. But really, that was a prototype for what would later become safe spaces. Fast forward to our world today and take a look at the insanity of safe spaces in colleges. These highly educated folks are doing something very similar to our Mad TV lady. They're trying to insulate themselves from issues and ideas that make them uncomfortable. Their way of plugging their ears is to simply forbid any mention of anything that might be challenging or, in their minds, offensive. No counterpoint, no challenging, no anything that might be seen as a possible trigger. La 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 la. Right. When I went to college many years ago, things were the exact opposite. We lived to disagree, to argue, to invite alternative views, and to battle it out. It helped us to see where we might be right and where we might be wrong. And sometimes we'd win and sometimes lose, but both winning and losing helped us learn our strengths and our weaknesses, while we gathered maturity from the skirmishes. It's hard to imagine what my college experience would have been like if dissent had been forbidden. I mean, aren't colleges supposed to expose their students to a multitude of ideas? Listen to what Jordan Peterson has to say about this.
And the idea that we should be making students feel safe on campuses is absolutely absurd. You read someone like Nietzsche or Dostoevsky or Solzhenitsyn, those people will terrify, or Carl Jung for that matter, those people will terrify you right down to the bottom of your soul. That's how you can tell you're being educated.
Yeah, you remind me of...
Absolutely appalling.
Exactly, Jordan. Look what happened at Brown University in 2014 when a debate about rape culture and sexual assault slipped through the cracks and feminists Jessica Valenti and Wendy McElroy discussed a forbidden topic. The school was shocked such a debate was going to happen and also worried about the idea that rape culture might be shown to not exist and their students would be upset. They set up safe spaces with frolicking puppies and cookies and coloring books and bubbles and Play-Doh and pillows and calming music. You know the drill. What were they doing? They were telling students that some ideas are dangerous and that the students needed the protection from these dangerous ideas. I mean, really, they were simply infantilizing them, treating them like helpless, vulnerable children. Who better to speak the truth about this topic than South Park? They did a song on safe spaces. Let me read it to you. Everyone likes me and thinks I'm great in my safe space. People don't judge me and haters don't hate in my safe space. Bully-proof windows, troll-safe doors, nothing but kindness in here. You might call me a pussy, but I won't hear you in my safe space. Later in the song, Reality, dressed as a villain, comes along and says, "You cannot stop me from getting inside. I'm cold and I'm hard and my name is Reality." They all scream, "Oh no, not Reality. You can't ruin our lives, Reality. Our safe space will keep you out. We can face almost anything, but Reality we can do without." Ha ha ha, Reality you can do without. Indeed, so crazy, but so accurate. Lately, the safe space idea has taken a dangerous turn. Cornell University has instructed its student body to report those who are negative towards safe spaces. That's right. Now they go beyond stopping up free speech and move towards a totalitarian stance reminiscent of the 1930s Germany, where people reported those who didn't quite believe strongly enough. The safe space has become very unsafe for some. And then, of course, there's the Google engineer who was fired because of his ideas. He didn't quite believe strongly enough either, I suppose. These two examples show the strange and ominous flow of the ideological zealots moving towards a totalitarian space. How far will we let them go before we put our foot down? The worst part of all this is that the media, our educational system, Hollywood, the legislature, and to some extent the judiciary are all complicit with this stuff. We're literally surrounded by a wall of political correctness that's shutting out the truth. So we've gone from silencing dissent to using safe spaces to totally silence anything outside the acceptable, to now a place where those who don't believe the right narrative are at risk of losing their jobs or being reported to the authorities. I think we've really lost it. Does this remind anybody of Orwell? It sure does me. Their ideas of safe space actually seem to me more like babies' playpens with toys or a toddler's high chair. But a good therapist will tell you that safety in the right circumstances can actually be healing. The difference is that in actual rituals, people use the safety or the safe space not to ignore upsetting memories or ideas, but for the opposite, to use the space to move into the upsetting memories or ideas. And when this happens, healing occurs. For those interested, I will leave a link to one of the videos from my Patreon site that has to do with the topic of safety and ritual and how we heal. There are about 20 or so of these vids about men and healing that you can access via the Patreon site. I'll leave a link in the upper right and also a link in the low bar to that video. Check it out. So it's incumbent on us all to stand up against the identity politics that's pushing us toward a totalitarian state. We need to call them out. And let's keep in mind, men are good, as are you. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that damn notification bell so you'll be notified for the next one, and we'll see ya.